Zarandani, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. Oh boy. uh, Horikoshi, you sly frickin' dog. Uh, I've been reading school briefs recently, and while I would like to go in detail with everything that's going on in this, that's not what we're going to be talking about today. If you guys don't know, I recently made a video where I said that Hagakure could very easily be the traitor, the UA traitor. And obviously, I also put forth Vlad King. But the more information that I read and look at from both the past and more recent stuff, I'm more and more inclined to think that Hagakure could actually be the traitor. Hagakure is one of those characters that honestly doesn't get much screen time. Not just because of the fact that she's invisible, but she just doesn't show up as much. Or maybe that's just what we think. Quite simply, Hagakure has had moments throughout this series, especially at the beginning and also some recent ones, where something just seems odd. During the USJ attack, Hagakure at the end says that she was with Todoroki and saw how cool he was. But, or saying that he was crazy strong, I believe. I don't remember the exact words. But the simple fact of the matter is that she doesn't necessarily have to say anything about what happened. And she doesn't. She just says that he is crazy strong. And she's already been on the other side of an ice attack. So she doesn't necessarily need to know what he did. She could simply say that he was awesome and everyone would believe her. But if you look actually at that scene, both in the actual anime and the manga, you do not see her at all. And obviously, a good reason for that would be the fact that, well, she's just not visible. She wouldn't be visible. She is an invisible girl. But almost every scene where you actually see her, you can actually see her gloves and boots. They actually make a pretty big point. Basically, any moment where they are actually showing off a group of the characters, they always make sure to include her, making sure that that either her gloves or her boots are actually visible. And this is an important thing to realize. Hagakure was not there at all. And I don't mean that like in the smallest sense. No, I mean that she was not there. And we may be like, oh, duh, she's not gonna be there. That's no big deal. No, she could literally be sent off somewhere else entirely, and no one would be the wiser. Then, after they've gotten their information out of her, they could send her back, and she could lie around anything she said. Because, like I said, no one would be the wiser. So, sending her off to a certain someone during all of this actually makes a lot of sense. And that's the thing. No character doesn't get seen, at least a little bit. everyone has their moments where they actually get to be seen doing something in that moment. Even the characters who don't get much screen time all have some brief moment where they're actually seen, except for Hagakure. She only shows up at the end when she says that she was with Todoroki. And if she knew and was told where he had been teleported, it would be as easy to tell a lie as ever. But, like I said, I have been reading school briefs. And Volume 2 actually deals a lot more with Hagakure than Volume 1. And I'm assuming that Volume 3 and possibly 4 also have a bit more to do with her. I'm intrigued to see what is going to happen, but currently I don't know since I'm currently still reading Volume 2. But Hagakure says some odd things during this whole book. The first thing is actually from the actual manga. This is an actual page that was actually ripped from the actual manga, where all of the kids are going to the camp. This is an exact shot. If you look closely, you can actually see Mina and Hagakure talking about an I Spy game. Let's play the I Spy game. I spy a bank. That is Mina. And then I spy the money in the bank. That is Hagakure. They make it abundantly clear in the actual book, or in the actual light novel. They don't necessarily say who's saying what lines, but they do say that Mina and Hagakure are playing the I Spy Bank game, and sure enough, it's right there. That exact line. This is huge. Kind of. Saying, I spy the bank. Not too weird. But I spy the money in the bank. That's odd. That is very, very odd. Who says, I spy the money in the bank when playing the I Spy game? Not very many. It's supposed to be, I spy whatever I see. But in this case, it could be seen as a joke, but still, it's odd. Next is actually later down the line. Later in the book, in fact, I've just finished this part, all of the girls from 1A and a few of them from 1B are all talking together. They are having a slumber party. And obviously there is some slumber party shenanigans. Basically, oh, what about the boys you like and blah, blah, blah. That is, I mean, come on. What do you expect? But it's weird because Hagakure actually starts up a lot of the conversations. Mina is the one who is often like, oh, what about blah, blah, blah? Or, I want gossip or whatever. Basically some lovey-dovey stuff. And Hagakure is the one who is almost always suggesting what they should talk about, starting by saying, does everyone who has a boyfriend? Who are your crushes? who would you want to team up with? Or, well, actually, that was Kendo. But Kendo asks, who would you want to team up with, or who would you want to switch powers with for a day? Kind of an interesting thing to think about, but it's an interesting factoid. Information gathering is an important part of being a mole, and if the people you're around happen to have loved ones, that is a great scoop, especially for the League of Villains. Here's the fact. When they are talking about their relationships and all that jazz, who are they going to be talking about? Well, they're going to be talking about the ones that they like, such as eventually Mina will probably be talking about Kirishima. Ochako is going to be talking about Deku, and so on and so forth. Once they actually get into once any of these characters get into actual relationships, taking down the weakest link of the two and threatening them is a fantastic way to actually get what you want. Honestly, I would not be surprised if later down the line, when Ochako and Deku are dating, they might even start. I'm actually pretty sure that they're going to start dating before too long. Probably within the next few chapters over in Japan. So, yeah, keep that in mind. But knowing that drives me to think that eventually Shigaraki is going to turn and take Uraraka. He hates Deku with a passion. He wants to kill Deku more than anyone else at UA. Probably more than All Might himself. So if he can kill and hurt Deku, he's going to. And finding out the information that Uraraka loves Deku is perfect for him. He could... Now, obviously, they're going to keep that information hidden from most people, but because of the fact that the girls actually talk quite a lot about their relationships and stuff, they're going to be delving into that before too long. Hagakure could find that out very easily. Find out that the two of them are dating. They might want to keep it on the down low so that they don't interfere with each other's training. So they only really go on dates or whatever when they have their free time. And they do it kind of secretly because, well, they kind of have to. Probably the only person who would actually know about this is the teachers. And they tell them because of the fact that it needs to be at least aware that's where they're going. If they go out of the school at any time, they're going on a date to go to a picnic or whatever. That's what's going on with them. Probably mostly Aizawa would be the one to know, maybe All Might. And if Shigaraki knows this, which he easily would because the girls talk a lot, then strike. Threatening Uraraka to get to Deku. Deku can't attack Shigaraki without hurting Uraraka in that moment. And Uraraka is captured. If she fights back, she's also dead, because he probably would be doing the whole one finger above, all of the rest touching her neck like he did with Deku. Deku wasn't able to do anything in that moment, even though he was now able to use his full Kelling power. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't stop him if, boom, he's dead instantly. And he knows this. Unless he can go to one for all full power instantly, he wouldn't be able to do anything. And it enters a truly substantial fight. And that would be the moment when eventually the two of them would be saved. Somehow. I don't know how. But that would be the moment Aizawa or someone else saves them. Maybe Aizawa cancels the quirk. Deku jumps in, gives him a good punch. Shigaraki runs away. They try and chase him down, but they can't. They can't find him. And no one is supposed to know where they were. But because of the fact that Aizawa would know and would be keeping track of them, he would think he's the only one. So he asked them, "Have you told anyone?" Especially because he would now know about the whole relationship and thinking that there might be a traitor. Did you tell anyone where you were going? Or that you two were together at all? Deku, of course, says, "No, no one knows. We haven't even told Ida or any of our friends. All Might maybe not doesn't even know." And Ochiko realizes something. She told the girls and reveals that she told them. They noticed how she acted for a long time, and then when she didn't act as weird, and they noticed that the two of them weren't training together as much. They were actually they were often teamed in different groups to basically, it may look like it's just to make sure that they know how to work with other people, but it's also to keep their minds straight and not get into weird situations. Anytime where they were in groups of two, they would be separate, as to not distract them. They start to notice, and they notice that even when they are teamed up, she's not freaking out as much. So they ask her, and she reveals that she and Deku have been dating for a little bit. Currently, the only person who knows is Aizawa, as far as she's aware. And they're keeping it on the down low, so don't tell anyone. All the girls promise. And all of them, she thinks, had their hands up, showing that they didn't cross their fingers or whatever. But because of the fact that Hagakure is invisible, she could literally be doing anything, cross her fingers, and no one would be the wiser. I mean, obviously, promises don't mean much to a villain, but she is kind of a girly girl, so she might still do it. Just kind of a thing to think about. But Hagakure tells the League of Villains, for whatever reason. She tells them, "I don't want you to hurt her, but I know that that threatening her would mean that you could get to Deku. She's my friend, so please don't hurt her, but still, I know you want to take down Deku. So there's your information," and leaves. She knows that she can't necessarily protect her, but definitely a possibility. They arrive back at the school, picking up the girls and going to the conference room. Aizawa says there has been a theory going around that there is a mole in UA telling people things, secrets. We don't necessarily suspect any of you. However, you five are the only ones in the entire school, aside from myself, who know that Deku and Uraraka were dating. The two of them were just attacked by Shigaraki, and luckily I was there and able to stop it. So until we know that it wasn't one of you and we get evidence, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to put ankle monitors on all of you. And if any of you start to get into a relationship, you're not leaving the school for your dates. At least until we know that none of you are the traitor. And it's just a preventative measure, just to be safe. Don't think that we actually think any of you are the traitor, but it's definitely a possibility. All of them leave, and he singles out Hagakure and says, "Could you wait a moment? I actually have something else that I need to talk to you about." After all the girls leave, except for Hagakure, he asks her, "Why are you doing this? Why?" To which she probably would respond, "I don't know what you're talking about." "You mean the traitor? I'm not the traitor. I didn't do anything. I would never hurt them." And Aizawa is not willing to believe her. He looks at her, dead in the eyes, and says, or dead in the face area, and says, "I do not believe you. There is no way that there could be a traitor under normal circumstances. The idea that there is a traitor seems completely impossible. The only people who knew any of the times that we were attacked, anyone was attacked, were teachers for the most part. And it's highly unlikely that any of them. And when we went to the camp, the only people who knew were Aizawa, Vlad King, and Nezu. No one else knew. No one else was supposed to know. But they did. And because you are invisible and can sneak around without anyone ever knowing, congratulations, you are number one on our suspect list. There's no easy way to go about it. You are number one on our suspect list. So either you admit that you did it and tell me why, and apologize to everyone, and possibly go to jail, or you will stay on the ankle monitor thing. And we will probably be putting a lot more care into what you're wearing. Probably more than one ankle monitor, just to be safe. Because you are the most dangerous one. And if that is what happens, then it's sad. It's sad to think that there is actually a traitor, but the fact of the matter is that Hagakure is the most likely. And I know it's a weird time to be bringing up the traitor of UA, but looking through these different sources, like I said, I was not one of the people who was actually believing in the UA traitor theory. I didn't think that there was actually going to be one. I thought for sure it was going to be just chance, some chance that they had found out these things. Maybe the doctor implanted bugs in every single one of the kids so that or a lot of them, because he knew, oh, maybe one day these kids will go to this place. They'll go to UA so that we can take them down. It honestly feels unlikely. But there's a lot to do with that. And many, many more possibilities. I don't want to believe this theory, but it's definitely a possibility. Especially considering the fact that, honestly, Hagakure is the least noticeable character. She is, like, almost everyone has had moments. Even Shoji, who is, I believe, the only guy who hasn't had any moment really at all, has actually done some decent stuff. Like, literally everyone has done something. Except for Hagakure, and that's it. That's legitimately it. She was stunned during the training camp, which, like I said, current school briefs. She was nowhere to be seen during the USJ attack. And she doesn't fight at all. Like, she barely did anything during the licensing arc. She really didn't do anything. She was barely noticeable during the sports festival, and so on and so forth. Nothing. Even in the two movies, she does nothing. She is briefly seen in the first movie, and, like I said, does nothing in the second. She's the only character. Out of all of the characters in the second movie, she does nothing. And she is the only one of the 20 students who does nothing. Maybe you could count Soji. Maybe. But even he did stuff. He was still pretty important. And while, like I said, she did nothing. In the latest arcs, again, nothing after nothing after nothing. I simply don't know what else to say. We'll see. We'll honestly just have to wait and see what happens. But considering the fact that a lot of times when there's a twist villain, there will be certain hints throughout the entire show, especially good ones. I am honestly willing to say right now that if there is actually a traitor, it is Hagakure. No ifs, no ands, no buts. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Of course, if you have your own theories about anything, Miraculous, My Hero, or, like I said, anything that I talk about on this channel, then definitely make sure to use the hashtag theory review and leave them down in the comments below. And of course, if you are new, please subscribe and ring that notification bell. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And of course, if you want to support the channel, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of the links down there. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on.